Fans have really missed that Johnny, the Johnny who feels raw and unpredictable, the one who seems to live outside the rules, who doesn't care about playing it safe or sticking to what Hollywood expects from him. That's part of his magic, isn't it? He's always been impossible to pin down, and yet somehow we all feel like we know him. When you watch the Daydrinker teaser, you can almost feel how deeply personal it is for him. There's this quiet intensity in the way he just sits there, alone at the bar, swirling his drink while a slice of sunlight cuts across his face. It's such a simple image, but it pulls you right in. And if you're really paying attention, you can't help but wonder, how much of this character is actually Johnny himself? You know what I mean? He barely says a word, but his eyes, they're telling a whole story. That's what's so powerful about him. He doesn't need explosions, or loud dialogue, or grand speeches to get to you. Johnny has always been a master of saying so much with so little. Just a glance, a small shift of his expression, and suddenly you feel everything he's feeling. And here, in this teaser, there are no fancy costumes. No layers of makeup hiding his features. No giant set pieces to distract you. It's just him, stripped down to the core. Honest. Real. And that kind of honesty, you don't see it much anymore. Not in Hollywood. It's almost refreshing, in a way. Like watching someone peel back all the layers we've built around them over the years, and just showing you who they really are underneath it all. And yet, it's also haunting. Because you realize he's showing you not just his talent, but his scars too. What's even cooler, and maybe even more meaningful, is knowing that this project didn't just appear out of nowhere. This wasn't some random indie film that landed in his lap. Apparently, Johnny has been thinking about this for years. Long before all the trials and headlines and drama. Way back when he was touring with his band, someone asked him in an interview what else he was working on. And he just smiled and said he was scribbling ideas for a quiet little character piece. At the time, people didn't think much of it. Just another creative idea from a creative guy, right? But now, seeing this teaser, it's clear Daydrinker was already alive in his mind back then. Waiting patiently for the right time to come to life. And that makes it even more special. Because it tells you he didn't just want to make another movie. He wanted to make this movie. Something personal. Something honest. Something that said, this is me. And if you really pay attention, there are little details in the teaser that say exactly that. Like that tiny tattoo you see on his character's wrist, moi-même. It's French for, myself. How perfect is that? It's like a quiet little message to the audience. Saying, this is who I really am. Just me. It's such a small thing. You'd almost miss it if you weren't looking for it. But it says everything about where he is in his life right now. People forget sometimes that Johnny Depp is more than just Jack Sparrow or Edward Scissorhands. And honestly, how could we not fall in love with those characters? They're unforgettable. They've become part of pop culture history, Jack with his drunken swagger and sly grin, Edward with his quiet sadness and sharp, delicate hands. Those roles are iconic. They're timeless. But when you strip all of that away, the costumes, the makeup, the elaborate sets, what you find underneath is something far more fascinating, Johnny himself. See, it's easy to look at someone like him and assume you know who he is. After all, he's been in the spotlight for decades. He's been splashed across magazines, chased by cameras, dissected on talk shows. People talk about him like he's just a collection of headlines or a list of characters. To some, he's just the pirate. To others, he's just the oddball who takes weird roles. And yet, if you pay close attention, you start to see something else entirely. Johnny has always been a deeply complex, creative soul. Someone who feels things a little more deeply than most. Someone who notices the cracks in things, the quiet moments, the small truths that others overlook. And you can see that in the roles he chooses, can't you? He's never been one to chase the big, loud, safe blockbusters, not really. He gravitates toward the unusual. The misunderstood. The vulnerable. He gives voice to the kind of characters we might otherwise ignore. Think about Edward Scissorhands for a second. That character is shy, awkward, fragile, someone who doesn't fit into the world around him. And Johnny played him with so much heart, so much gentleness, that you couldn't help but feel for him. You saw yourself in him. Because, let's be honest, who hasn't felt like an outsider at some point? Who hasn't felt like they didn't quite belong? Johnny understands that feeling. And he brings it to life on screen in a way that's impossible to fake. Or look at Jack Sparrow, a character who could have easily been nothing more than a silly caricature. But Johnny turned him into something completely unique. He made him charming, flawed, unpredictable. Jack wasn't just funny, he was smart, vulnerable, even a little tragic if you looked closely. And that's because Johnny poured so much of himself into him. He's not afraid to take risks. He's not afraid to make his characters messy or complicated. Because, at his core, Johnny understands that people are messy and complicated. He knows that nobody's all good or all bad, and he shows us that in everything he does. That's the thing about him, he's never really cared about what Hollywood expects. He's never chased the shiny, perfect image. He's never tried to fit into a mold. And in a world that constantly demands that we present only the best, most polished versions of ourselves, that kind of authenticity is rare. It's refreshing. But of course, that kind of honesty comes with its own price, doesn't it? Johnny has been through a lot over the years. He's battled his own demons. He's faced heartbreak, loss, betrayal. He's been misunderstood and judged more times than anyone deserves. And yet, through all of that, he's kept creating. He's kept showing up. That's why fans connect with him so deeply. Because he's not just some distant movie star, living a perfect, glamorous life. He's real. He's human. He's flawed. He falls down, but he gets back up, and that makes him relatable in a way so few celebrities are. When you watch him on screen, you can almost feel everything he's been through. There's a depth in his eyes, a weight behind his performances, that you can't manufacture. That's the mark of someone who's lived. Who's loved. Who's hurt. And that's why it feels so exciting, and almost refreshing, to see him in something like Daydrinker. Because this time, it doesn't feel like he's stepping into someone else's skin. It doesn't feel like he's disappearing behind a quirky character or hiding behind layers of makeup and costume. For the first time in what feels like forever, he's just Johnny. Honest. Unfiltered. Himself. You can see it in the way he sits there in that teaser. There's no bravado, no big gestures. He's not performing in the way we're used to seeing him perform. Instead, it's all so quiet, so stripped down, and yet so powerful. The way his fingers wrap around the glass, the way his eyes seem to stare right through the daylight, as if he's seeing something none of us can see. That kind of stillness, that kind of rawness, it's rare. Especially in a world where everything has to be bigger, flashier, louder just to get noticed. But Johnny has never really been interested in doing what everyone else is doing, has he? That's what's always set him apart. He's never seemed concerned about whether his choices fit into Hollywood's idea of what a leading man should be. He's never chased after the clean-cut, polished image so many others are obsessed with. And maybe that's why Daydrinker already feels like something more than just another project. It feels like a statement. Not in an arrogant or self-important way, but in a quiet, deeply personal way. It's like he's saying, "This is who I am. Take it or leave it." And that kind of courage, that kind of honesty, it's rare and unforgettable. Because when you think about it, it's not just his talent that's kept us watching all these years. Yes, he's brilliant at what he does. Yes, he has this uncanny ability to bring even the strangest characters to life and make them feel real. But that's not all. What really makes him unforgettable is what he shows us about ourselves. Johnny reminds us that it's okay to just be who you are, even if that doesn't fit neatly into everyone else's idea of perfect. He's never been perfect. He's never claimed to be. He's made mistakes. He's stumbled. He's been misunderstood and misjudged. And yet, he keeps showing up. He keeps being himself. In a world where so many people are afraid to be vulnerable, where so many people try so hard to appear flawless, Johnny's willingness to show his flaws, to wear his heart on his sleeve, is what makes him so magnetic. It's a quiet kind of bravery, but it's a bravery we can all feel. It reminds us that it's okay to carry scars. It's okay to admit you're human. It's okay to sit with your demons sometimes, as long as you keep going. And that's why, no matter how many characters he's played, no matter how many transformations he's gone through, Johnny Depp has never stopped being someone we can see ourselves in. Because underneath it all, he's not just a movie star. He's a man who keeps reminding us that we don't have to be perfect to be worthy. That our imperfections don't make us any less valuable, they're part of what makes us real. And maybe, in the end, that's what keeps us coming back to him. Not just to watch what he'll do next on screen, but to see what part of himself he's willing to show us this time. He shows us that it's okay to be messy. To be vulnerable. To have scars and still stand tall. Because at the end of the day, that's what makes us human. And Johnny? He's never been afraid to show his humanity. That's why we keep watching. That's why we keep rooting for him. Because he reminds us that being yourself, no matter how complicated that self might be, is always worth it. And he's always carried his own struggles and demons, just like the rest of us. That's what makes him so relatable, even though he's one of the biggest stars in the world. He's not perfect. And he's never pretended to be. He's been knocked down more times than most of us could handle. He's been misunderstood, criticized, betrayed. He's made mistakes. And yet, he keeps getting back up. Every single time. That's rare in this industry. Honestly, it's rare anywhere. Maybe that's why this one line in the teaser hits so hard. You know the one I mean. Even in the daylight, demons drink with me. Phew. Just hearing him say it, it stays with you. Because you know he's lived through his own darkness. He knows what it feels like to sit with your demons, even when everyone else thinks you're okay. It's vulnerable. It's honest. And it's inspiring, in its own messy, human way. Because that's what life is, right? Messy. None of us get through it without a few scars. But the way he owns his. The way he keeps showing up, again and again, no matter what. That's the part that sticks with you. So now I've got to ask you, what part of this story surprised you the most? Was it that haunting line? His chilling, stripped-down look? Or just the fact that he's finally back, doing what he loves? Let me know in the comments below. I really want to hear your thoughts on this one. And if you're curious about more untold stories, more hidden projects he's been quietly working on all these years, you should definitely check out our other video on the roles Johnny Depp turned down that would have changed everything. Trust me, you won't believe some of the names on that list. And hey, before you go, don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed this deep dive. Subscribe to the channel, too, and don't forget to tap that little bell icon so you never miss the next big reveal. Because with Johnny, you never really know what he's going to do next. And that's exactly why we can't stop watching. See you next time.